Some of you know my aunt, Willie Jordan, and Willie went to be with the Lord yesterday. So Willie was married to my Uncle Fred, and Fred Jordan started a mission in Los Angeles on Skid Row called the Fred Jordan Mission. He went to be with the Lord a number of years ago, and my Aunt Willie carried this mission on. And this was not an easy thing that she did with the people who had hit rock bottom in life, many of them drug addicts, alcoholics, and she would walk those streets, and she would love those people, and she would hug those people, and she would feed those people, and she would share the gospel of Jesus Christ with those people. We just so appreciated Aunt Willie. She was like modern day Mother Teresa, powerful force of nature, godly woman who made all the difference in the world, and the Lord has called her home now. Certainly, she lived her life well, and I'm sure the Lord has said to her, "Well done, good and faithful servant. Enter into the joy of your Lord."
She was 4 weeks old when she first went to Skid Row. Not her, her children. Willie Jordan took her babies to one of the most desperate streets in America and said, "This is where we belong." And for more than 75 years, she meant it. On June 13, 2026, Willie L. Jordan passed away peacefully at her home in Glendora, California. She was 93 years old. And if you're watching this channel, there's a reasonable chance you've heard of Laurie, founder of Harvest Christian Fellowship, one of the largest churches in America, and one of the most prominent voices in evangelical Christianity today. Willie Jordan was his aunt. Greg posted an Instagram video tribute calling her a modern-day Mother Teresa, a woman who, in his words, made all the difference in the world. That's high praise from a man who does not deal in cheap words. But when you look at Willie Jordan's life, it's not enough. Willie felt called by God at 13 years old. By 15, she was already standing in Southern California churches, teaching what she called soul winning. After high school, she didn't go to college to figure out her life. She traveled the country, challenging young people to give themselves to something bigger than themselves. And then she went to Korea. This was shortly after the Korean War, a country still smoldering, still starving. And while she was there, she encountered a baby boy who had fallen into an open fire while his mother was out on the hillsides searching for roots to boil for food. Willie rushed that baby to a makeshift hospital, and she watched him die. She came home, she raised money, and 7 months later she went back, not to mourn, to build. She oversaw the construction of an orphanage in South Korea that has since grown into one of the largest in the entire country, caring today for more than 500 children with mental and physical disabilities. That's who Willie Jordan was. She didn't just cry at suffering, she did something about it. In 1944, a man named Fred Jordan founded something called the American Soul Clinic on Skid Row in downtown Los Angeles. If you don't know Skid Row, it's not a metaphor, it's a real place. Roughly 50 city blocks in Los Angeles that has been, for decades, home to one of the largest concentrations of homeless people in the United States. It is raw, it is hard, it is heartbreaking, and Fred Jordan planted himself right in the middle of it. Willie joined the mission in 1949. She attended the Soul Clinic school, and somewhere in that shared vision, feeding hungry hearts and hungry bodies, she and Fred fell in love. Together, they didn't just run a soup kitchen, they built orphanages, schools, mission stations, and churches in Japan, Liberia, Hong Kong, Argentina, Taiwan, Mexico, and Ghana. In 1951, they launched a weekly television program called Church in the Home, which, remarkably, is still running today, 75 years, the longest-running show of its kind. Willie also hosted a daily radio program called Take 3 on K-Wave, 107.9 FM, in Southern California. Short, focused biblical teaching that she used to call people to compassion. She loved quoting from Matthew 9, Jesus, who was moved with compassion when he saw the needy multitudes. That phrase was her operating system. Fred Jordan died in April 1988 at Foothill Presbyterian Hospital in Glendora, following a massive heart attack. He was 78. At the time of his death, the mission was feeding 1,000 people a day on Skid Row, 6,000 on major holidays, and when he was gone, Willie didn't step back, she stepped forward. She became the president of the mission, the only female president of a Skid Row-based ministry, and she renamed it Fred Jordan Missions to honor the man and the legacy. The following year, 1989, she expanded the work, partnering with Foot Locker to launch what would become an annual back-to-school event, clothing thousands of inner-city children. Under her leadership, the mission's holiday celebrations in the streets grew to serve as many as 20,000 needy families in a single day. 20,000. Corporations, schools, universities, churches, politicians, celebrities, all drawn to what this woman had built on Skid Row. And through all of it, she said the mission preached the gospel first, then fed people. She cited Matthew 25, that helping the least of these was the same as serving Christ himself. In a 2013 interview with Pastor Jack Hibbs of Calvary Chapel, Chino Hills, Willie said something that stayed with me since I read it. She said the face of America had changed, that at least 40% of the homeless people coming through their doors were single mothers with children. And then she said, and I'm going to quote her here, "Hope for the homeless lies in Jesus alone." Jack Hibbs called her an amazing Deborah of God. That's a reference to the only female judge in the book of Judges. A leader, a prophetess, a woman who rallied a broken people. It fit. Now, for those of us who follow Christian ministry news, the connection to Greg Laurie adds a layer here worth acknowledging. Greg Laurie is one of the most visible evangelical figures in America today. His harvest crusades have reached millions. His films, Jesus Revolution, the Billy Graham biopic, have crossed over into mainstream culture. And the woman who shaped part of his family's spiritual identity spent her life in the dirt of Skid Row. In his Instagram tribute, Greg called Willie a modern-day Mother Teresa and said she had carried on the mission her husband started with extraordinary faithfulness. He called her someone who made all the difference in the world. There's something worth sitting with in that, because so much of what we cover on this channel involves Christian leaders who built platforms, accumulated influence, chased relevance, and then failed, publicly, often catastrophically. Willie Jordan did almost none of that. She had a TV program, yes, a radio show. She was recognizable in inner-city ministry circles. But she wasn't building a brand. She was building orphanages. She was feeding people. She was showing up on Skid Row with her 4-week-old babies and saying, "This is where God has us." Her son Joe, who has led Fred Jordan missions since 2018, announced her passing on June 15th with a Facebook post that I want to share with you, because I think it captures something important. He wrote, "My mom, the amazing Willie Jordan, went to sleep in her home in Glendora, California, and woke up to Jesus saying, 'Well done, thy good and faithful servant.' After 93 years of life, an amazing marriage to my father Fred, 7 children, and serving millions all over the world with the love of Jesus, she finished her race and now walks on streets of gold with Jesus." It's hard to put into words how powerful, amazing, dynamic, compassionate, giving, and loving she really was. But I am grateful to Jesus that my mom, Willie Jordan, brought me into this world, and I am grateful for the legacy that she and my father Fred left us. Almost 9 years ago, she trusted me with leading Fred Jordan Missions Ministries, and what a blessing and honor it is to carry on the work that started in 1944. Over 82 years later, the vision and legacy continues. We declare and demonstrate the love of Jesus to those in need, and those who are hopeless, hurting, and helpless. Thank you, Mom, for teaching me and everyone else about the amazing love of Jesus and our Heavenly Father. I will miss you every day, but I know I will see you again soon." She finished her race. 82 years of ministry, 7 children, millions served, orphanages on multiple continents, and a Skid Row mission that is still open, still feeding people, still preaching the gospel today, in 2026. I want to say something directly to you before I close this out. This channel exists because accountability in Christian ministry matters. Because when leaders fail, when they abuse, deceive, exploit, those failures have real consequences for real people. We cover that. We'll keep covering it. But accountability journalism, done right, isn't just about exposing what went wrong. It's about understanding what integrity actually looks like, what faithfulness looks like over a lifetime. Willie Jordan is a picture of that. She wasn't perfect, nobody is, but she gave 75 years to the same calling, in the same city, among the same forgotten people. She didn't pivot, she didn't rebrand. She didn't take a sabbatical and come back with a podcast and a book deal. She went back to Skid Row, every day, and she raised children who, when they were 4 weeks old, were already learning what it looked like to love people the world had written off. Laurie called her a modern-day Mother Teresa. I think that's right, and I think the church, the broader evangelical world, needs to hold people like Willie Jordan up, not just because their stories are inspiring, but because they are corrective. They remind us what ministry was supposed to look like before the cameras got involved. Rest well, Willie Jordan. Well done, thy good and faithful servant. If this video meant something to you, share it. Let people know who Willie Jordan was. The Fred Jordan Missions is still active at fjm.org if you want to support the work she gave her life to. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.